You've spent decades following a script that maybe you didn't even write. You've climbed the ladder, chased the career, the house, and the perfect life, only to hit 40 and feel like something's missing. It's a bit like you've been an actor in a play, and you've forgotten your own lines because you were so busy reciting someone else's. If you're tired of living up to illusions of success and happiness that just don't fit anymore, then it's time to let them go. If you are ready to stop performing and start living, this is for you. Here, we're going to talk about the 5 toxic illusions you must abandon to finally start living your own authentic life. This isn't about a midlife crisis. It's about a midlife awakening. The transition into your 40s is one of the most significant you'll face, marked by profound shifts in your career, family, and sense of self. We used to call this the midlife crisis, a period of tumultuous inner storms. But recent large-scale studies are showing something fascinating. That classic unhappiness hump in midlife has largely disappeared. It turns out mental distress now tends to peak in young adulthood and actually declines with age. So what you're feeling isn't a crisis, it's a clearing. It's a moment of sharp self-awareness where unhealed baggage and stress might bubble up, but it's also an opportunity for immense personal growth. It's the moment you get to decide which rules you want to rewrite. And the first rule to break is the one that says everything has to be perfect. Section 1. The first illusion. The illusion of perfectionism and control. For most of my life, I believed that perfection was the goal. I thought if I could just plan meticulously enough, work hard enough, and control every single variable, I could build a life free from chaos and failure. I treated my life like a complex engineering project. Every career move was calculated. Every family vacation was scheduled down to the minute. Every interaction was managed to create the right impression. I remember planning a huge product launch for my company. I worked 18-hour days for months, obsessing over every line of code, every pixel, every word of the marketing copy. I was convinced that a flawless execution would bring monumental success and, more importantly, validate the immense pressure I was putting on myself. Launch day came. A tiny, unforeseen server issue something totally out of our control caused a 30-minute outage at our peak moment. In the grand scheme, it was a blip. We fixed it, and the launch was, by all objective measures, a success. But I was crushed. I felt a sense of personal failure that was completely out of proportion to what actually happened. That tiny failure overshadowed months of success, and I was filled with a corrosive mix of anxiety and shame. This is the poison of perfectionism. It's a defense mechanism that pretends to be a noble pursuit of excellence, but it's really rooted in a deep-seated anxiety and a desperate need for approval. It creates impossibly high standards and then mercilessly berates you when you inevitably fall short. That constant self-criticism is devastating to your mental health, leading directly to stress, burnout, and a gnawing feeling of inadequacy. This is made so much worse by the world we live in now. We're bombarded by the curated highlight reels of social media that make us feel like everyone else has it all figured out, fueling what experts call socially prescribed perfectionism. It just amplifies that voice in our head that says, "You're not good enough." The illusion of control is its close cousin. We think that if we can just manage every outcome, we can protect ourselves from life's unpredictability. But you can't control the traffic, a sudden illness, or how other people will act. Trying to is simply exhausting. Letting go of this begins with a simple, radical act: self-compassion. It's about recognizing that perfectionism isn't a strength. It's a cage. It's about giving yourself permission to be human, to be messy, to be imperfect. For me, it started by asking a different question. Instead of, what's the perfect outcome? I started asking, what's actually within my control? My effort is, my attitude is. The outcome, however, often isn't. Letting go of control isn't about becoming passive. It's about redirecting your energy. It's the difference between gripping the steering wheel until your knuckles are white and learning to navigate the current with skill and grace. The moment you embrace good enough, you finally give yourself room to breathe and to grow. Now, letting go of the need to control your own life is one thing. But what about the stories we tell ourselves about the seemingly perfect lives of others? That brings us to our second, and maybe most pervasive, illusion. Section 2. The second illusion. The illusion of effortless success. You know the feeling. You're scrolling through your phone late at night, and you see it. A former colleague just launched a business that looks like an overnight success. A friend from college is posting photos from a breathtaking month-long family trip. Someone you barely know just bought their dream home, and it all looks so easy. They seem to have glided into these achievements with a grace that makes your own life, with all its daily struggles and chaos, feel like a failure. I fell into this trap for years. I had a friend who started a creative agency, and on social media, his journey looked like a highlight reel, landing huge clients, winning awards, expanding his team. He seemed to be living a frictionless life. Meanwhile, I was grinding away, facing rejections, battling imposter syndrome, and feeling like I was wading through mud. I'd look at his polished success, and then at my messy reality and think, what am I doing wrong? Why is it so hard for me and so easy for him? The comparison was brutal. This is the illusion of effortless success, a modern fantasy fueled by the curated windows we have into other people's lives. We see the triumphant finish line, but we never see the years of grueling training, the painful falls, and the lonely early mornings that pave the way. Success is never a straight line. It's a chaotic scribble of effort, failure, and perseverance. Comparing your raw, behind-the-scenes footage to someone else's slick movie trailer is a recipe for misery. Liberation comes when you shift your focus from comparison to contribution, from their outcome to your own process. It's about what psychologists call a growth mindset, seeing success not as a finite trophy to be won, but as an infinite game of personal progress. It's about celebrating your own small wins. Did you make that hard phone call? That's a win. Did you stick to your workout plan? That's a win. Did you learn something from a mistake? That's a massive win. I eventually had a frank conversation with my effortlessly successful friend. He laughed when I told him how I saw his journey. Then he shared the stories of near bankruptcy, the major clients he lost, the sleepless nights worrying about payroll. His reality was just as messy as mine. He was just better at marketing the final product. That conversation was a turning point. It taught me to honor my own process. Letting go of this illusion means you stop looking sideways and start looking forward on your own path. Run your own race. Your journey isn't supposed to look like anyone else's, and that's not a flaw, it's the whole point. The next lesson I learned was a big one, because it's tied to the very definition of success we've been chasing for 20 years. This chase often blinds us to a truth that only becomes clear in midlife. And that is illusion number 3. Section 3. The third illusion. The illusion of career success as ultimate fulfillment. From the moment we graduated, the script seemed clear. Get a good job, climb the corporate ladder, get the impressive title, make more money. We were taught that professional achievement was the ultimate measure of a successful life. Happiness, we were told, was a corner office with a view. Fulfillment was a paycheck with lots of zeros. For 2 decades, I bought into this completely. My career was the central pillar of my identity. I chased promotions, worked weekends, and sacrificed my personal life for the next rung on the ladder. I remember the day I finally landed a senior executive role I'd been targeting for years. I had the title, the salary, the respect, and for about a week, it felt incredible. But then, a strange, hollow feeling crept in. I'd sit in important meetings, an expert at managing multi-million-dollar budgets, yet feel like a novice at managing my own well-being. I knew how to build a business, but I had neglected to build a life. This is the high achiever's paradox. It's the realization that the relentless pursuit of career success can come at the expense of the very things that create a rich life. Deep connections, health, and inner peace. Many of us arrive at 40 having mastered our professions, but feeling like strangers in our own lives. We've become so focused on proving ourselves that we forgot to ask what we truly wanted. Letting go of this illusion isn't about abandoning ambition. It's about fundamentally redefining what success means to you. It's a shift from a definition based on external validation titles, income, to one based on internal alignment. Success becomes less about what you have and more about how you feel. It's waking up without that feeling of dread. It's realizing your worth isn't tied to your productivity. For me, this redefinition was a slow process. It meant saying no to projects that looked good on a resume but didn't genuinely interest me. It meant blocking out time for a walk in the woods with the same seriousness I would an executive board meeting. It meant recognizing that rest isn't lazy. In a culture that glorifies hustle, it's revolutionary. The goal is to build a balanced life portfolio where your career is just one asset, not your entire net worth. When you stop letting your job title define you, you give yourself the freedom to become who you truly are. Redefining success forces you to confront another uncomfortable truth, one that becomes glaringly obvious around this age. It's about a resource we squandered in our youth, believing it was limitless. This brings us to illusion number 4. Section 4. The fourth illusion. The illusion of time is infinite. In your 20s and 30s, time feels infinite. There's always later. I'll take that trip later. I'll learn to play the guitar later. I'll spend more quality time with my parents later. You operate with the subconscious belief that you have an endless runway ahead of you. You spend time like a billionaire spends money freely, almost carelessly, assuming the bank account will never run dry. I lived this way for years. My days were a blur of obligations, always focused on the future. I remember my father, an avid woodworker, constantly asking me to spend a weekend in his workshop with him. I'd love to, Dad. I'd say, but I'm just swamped. Let's do it next month. But next month always turned into the month after that. I was too busy building my career to make time for what felt important but not urgent. He passed away suddenly from a heart attack. And just like that, all the laters vanished. I was left with a garage full of his tools I never learned how to use and a sharp, profound ache of regret. It was a brutal lesson, but a clarifying one. Around age 40, your perception of time fundamentally changes. You become acutely aware that it is not an infinite line, but a finite, precious commodity. You can feel it accelerating, the years start to feel like months. The illusion of more time shatters, and you have to confront the opportunity cost of how you spend every single day. Letting go of this illusion isn't about panicking about mortality. It's about being jolted into intentional living. It's about realizing that someday is a dangerous word. It's finally understanding that every time you say yes to something, you are implicitly saying no to something else. Saying yes to another hour scrolling on your phone might be saying no to an hour of sleep. Saying yes to a weekend of work might be saying no to making a memory with your kids. Releasing this illusion means you start treating your time like your most valuable currency. You protect it fiercely. You invest it wisely. You prioritize the relationships and experiences that bring you joy now, not at some mythical point in the future. I started scheduling time with loved ones with the same non-negotiable commitment as a business trip. I finally took that trip I'd always dreamed of. I started saying no, without guilt, to things that didn't align with this new appreciation for my days. You don't have to wait for a tragedy to learn this lesson. You can decide today to stop living for later and start living for now, because now is all you are ever guaranteed. And when you start living with that kind of intention, prioritizing your time and redefining success, you inevitably realize the perfect, pre-planned life you imagine needs to change, too. The rigid blueprint you made in your 20s no longer fits the person you've become. And that brings us to the final and most liberating illusion to release. Section 5. The fifth illusion. The illusion of idealized relationships and life paths. From childhood, we're fed a steady diet of fairy tales. Not just the ones in books, but the cultural ones. The fairy tale of the perfect marriage, where you never argue. The fairy tale of the perfect family, with well-behaved kids who never cause you heartache. And the fairy tale of the perfect life path, a straight line from A to B to C, with no detours or setbacks. We carry these idealized images in our heads like a map and feel like failures when our messy, complicated reality doesn't match. I held on to these illusions tightly. I expected my career to be a continuous upward climb. When I was laid off in my late 30s, it felt catastrophic, a deviation from the plan. I thought I had failed the script. In my own marriage, I used to believe that any conflict was a sign that something was fundamentally broken. I avoided difficult conversations because they didn't fit my idealized picture of a harmonious partnership. That didn't make the relationship stronger. It just created a silent, growing distance. These idealized expectations are a prison. They create constant dissatisfaction because reality can never live up to a fantasy. They instill a deep fear of change, causing us to cling to jobs or relationships that no longer serve us simply because they were part of the original plan. This resistance to the beautiful, unpredictable messiness of real life prevents us from forming authentic connections and seizing unexpected opportunities. Letting go of this illusion means embracing imperfection as a feature, not a bug. It's about learning to love the cracks and quirks in your relationships. That's where real intimacy lives. It's about accepting that your spouse isn't a character in your story. They are a whole, complex person on their own journey. The moment my partner and I stopped trying to be the perfect couple and started being two imperfect people committed to navigating life together, our bond deepened in a way I never thought possible. It also means seeing the detours in your life not as failures, but as essential parts of your unique journey. That layoff I thought was the end of the world, it forced me to reassess what I truly wanted from my work and pushed me to start my own venture, something far more fulfilling than any corporate job. Your path isn't supposed to be a straight highway. It's a winding, scenic road. Some psychologists even suggest that a psychologically rich life, one full of new and perspective-changing experiences, is a third path to a good life, alongside happiness and meaning. Letting go of the life you thought you were supposed to have is the only way to finally step into the life that is waiting for you. Conclusion. So there they are, the 5 illusions that can hold us captive: perfectionism and control, effortless success, career as ultimate fulfillment, infinite time, and the perfect pre-planned life. Letting go of these isn't about admitting defeat. It's not about lowering the bar or giving up on your dreams. It is the exact opposite. It's an act of profound courage, a declaration of freedom. It's the moment you stop chasing a script someone else wrote and finally pick up the pen to write your own story. The person you are at 40 has earned a wisdom your younger self couldn't have imagined. You've seen enough to know what's real and what's an illusion. You are not past your prime. You are stepping into your power. Your 40s aren't an ending. They are a beginning. The most authentic chapter of your life is just waiting to be written. Now, I want to hear from you, because your story and wisdom matter. What's one illusion you had to let go of to find more peace or authenticity in your life? Share it in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today to start their own journey. And if this conversation resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe for more conversations about living an authentic and fulfilling life. Thank you for being here.